My wife tried to play the victim in court, claiming I was a terrible husband to justify taking all of my money. Then my lawyer stood up and said, "Your Honor, we'd like to submit a testimony from her own best friend." Her face turned white as her friend walked into the courtroom and said, "I can't lie for you anymore. I used to think divorce was something that happened to other people, not me. Melissa and I had been together for 8 years, married for 5. We had our ups and downs, but I always thought we were solid, stable. Turns out I was a fool. Because one evening, right after dinner, she casually put down her fork, looked me dead in the eye and said, "Jason, I want a divorce." No emotion, no build-up. Just like she was telling me we were out of milk. I blinked. "You, what?" "I'm not happy," she said, swirling her wine. "I haven't been for a long time." That was the first time I felt my stomach drop. It wouldn't be the last. The next morning, I got an email from a lawyer. Melissa had already filed for divorce, and she wasn't just asking to leave, she wanted everything. Half my savings, alimony, even though she worked full-time. The house, which I paid for. I sat there, rereading it, my mind struggling to process how cold this was. I still hadn't even wrapped my head around the fact that my marriage was over, and she was already trying to clean me out. But the worst part? The lies started immediately. I started hearing rumors. Mutual friends suddenly seemed distant. Some people at work were giving me weird looks. And then I found out why. Melissa had been telling everyone that I was an awful husband. She told her friends I was controlling and never let her have freedom. She implied to my coworkers that I was emotionally neglectful. She even made vague comments to my own family about how I wasn't the man they thought I was. I was stunned. I had never raised my voice at her. I never controlled where she went or who she saw. I never even checked her phone. But suddenly I was the bad guy. It was like she had planned this narrative for months. And then, she made her biggest mistake. The friend who knew everything. One evening, as I sat at home trying to figure out how to defend myself, my phone buzzed. A text from Sarah, Melissa's best friend. I frowned. Sarah and I were never close. She had always been 100% Team Melissa in every argument. So why was she texting me now? "Hey, can we talk? It's about Melissa." My stomach tightened, because if Melissa's own best friend was reaching out to me, something was very, very wrong. I stared at Sarah's text. Melissa's best friend wanted to talk to me? Something was off. Sarah had always been in Melissa's corner. Whenever we argued, Sarah was there to tell her she was right. Whenever I had issues with Melissa's behavior, Sarah was the one reassuring her that she deserved better. So why would she be reaching out to me? I hesitated before typing back. "What is this about?" A few seconds later, she replied, "Just trust me. You need to know what she's been saying behind your back." I called her. The second she picked up, she sighed like she had been holding something in for a long time. "Jason, I can't lie for her anymore." I didn't speak. I just let her talk. And what she told me? It made my stomach turn. Sarah spilled everything. Melissa had been seeing a divorce lawyer for 6 months before she even told me she was unhappy. She had been creating a fake victim narrative for over a year. She had been moving money from our joint account into her own private savings. But the worst part? She had asked Sarah to lie in court. She wanted me to testify that you were controlling and emotionally abusive. I froze. I had never been abusive. Not once. "And you were going to do it?" Sarah exhaled sharply. "She's my best friend, but, Jason, she's twisting everything." She kept saying stuff like, "I need to look like the victim so I can get more out of him." I clenched my jaw. Melissa wasn't just trying to win the divorce. She was trying to destroy me. Sarah also revealed something else. Melissa had been bragging about how she was going to crush me in court. She claimed she was entitled to half my business, even though she never contributed to it. She was pushing for lifetime alimony, even though she had a good salary herself. She even had a backup plan. If the alimony was denied, she would claim financial abuse to try and force the court's hand. I gritted my teeth. She wasn't leaving me because she was unhappy. She was leaving me because she thought she could profit from it. Sarah. Jason, I'll testify against her. I'm done covering for her. If you take this to court, I'll tell them everything. I almost laughed. Melissa had been so busy making herself look like a victim that she hadn't realized her own best friend had turned against her. And with Sarah's testimony, Melissa's entire case was about to collapse. I met with my lawyer the next day. I laid everything out on the table. Sarah's willingness to testify, Melissa's private bank transfers, evidence of her false abuse claims. My lawyer sat back in his chair, smiling. Well, Jason, I hope she enjoys surprises, because this one's going to be brutal. Melissa had no idea what was coming. She walked into that courtroom thinking she had already won. But when my lawyer stood up and said, "Your Honor, we'd like to submit a testimony from her own best friend," her face went completely white. Melissa walked into the courtroom like she was stepping onto a red carpet. She had her hair perfectly styled, her outfit carefully chosen, and the kind of smug confidence that could only come from knowing you're about to win. Her lawyer, a slick-looking guy in an expensive suit, was already grinning. They thought this was a done deal. They thought I was just another guy getting steamrolled in divorce court. But they didn't know. They didn't know what was coming. Melissa's attorney stood up first, walking confidently to the center of the courtroom. "Your Honor, my client has endured years of neglect, emotional hardship, and a complete lack of financial security. Despite sacrificing her own career to support Mr. Wilson's ambitions, she was left in a vulnerable position." I clenched my jaw. Melissa sat there, nodding along like a victim. "We ask that the court grant her rightful share of the marital assets, including half of Mr. Wilson's business, full ownership of the marital home, and appropriate spousal support." Then he turned to Melissa. "Mrs. Wilson, can you describe what your marriage was like?" She sighed dramatically and launched into a performance worthy of an Oscar. "It was lonely. Jason was never there for me. He controlled everything, the money, the decisions. I felt like I didn't even have a voice in my own home." She even dabbed at her eyes with a tissue. I could hear a few murmurs from people in the audience. It was working. The judge leaned forward slightly, looking interested. That's when my lawyer stood up, adjusting his tie. "Your Honor, before you make any rulings, the defense would like to present a new witness." Melissa barely reacted. She probably assumed it was one of my business partners or someone testifying about my finances. But when my lawyer said the next words, her face drained of color. "We'd like to call Mrs. Wilson's best friend Sarah to the stand." Melissa's head whipped around, and when Sarah walked into the courtroom, calm and collected, I saw real panic in Melissa's eyes for the first time. Sarah took a deep breath as she sat down. The bailiff swore her in and my lawyer approached. "Miss Carter, how long have you known Mrs. Wilson?" "Sarah, over 10 years. We've been best friends since college." Melissa stared daggers at her. "Are you aware of the claims Mrs. Wilson has made in this case?" Sarah nodded. "Yes, and they're not true." A ripple of whispers spread through the courtroom. "Let's be specific. Mrs. Wilson stated that she was financially dependent on Mr. Wilson and had no financial security. Is that true?" "No, she has a high-paying job in marketing. She's been saving money for over a year, moving funds into a private account without Jason's knowledge." Melissa stiffened. The judge turned to Melissa's lawyer. "Is this true?" Her lawyer fumbled through some papers. We were not aware of any such account." I almost smiled. They weren't expecting this. "Miss Carter, can you tell the court how you came to this information?" Sarah nodded and pulled out a printed stack of text messages. "Melissa told me herself. She was planning this divorce for over a year. She bragged about how she would make Jason look like a bad husband so she could take more money from him." She handed the pages to the judge. Melissa's lawyer shot up from his seat. "Objection. This is," judge, holding up a hand, "overruled. I want to see this." The judge skimmed the messages, then glanced at Melissa. "Mrs. Wilson, is this your phone number?" Melissa swallowed hard. "Yes." "Then explain this message sent to Miss Carter 4 months ago." She cleared her throat. I don't remember. If I play this right, I'll have Jason paying for my lifestyle for the rest of my life." The courtroom went dead silent. Melissa looked like she was about to pass out. Lawyer: "Miss Carter, you also mentioned Mrs. Wilson planned to use false abuse claims. Can you elaborate?" Melissa's lawyer stood up again. "Objection. These are just allegations." "Overruled. Proceed." Sarah sat up straighter. "Melissa told me multiple times that she needed to make Jason look bad so the court would side with her. She joked about how if she cried in front of the judge, she'd get whatever she wanted." Did she ever mention abuse before the divorce process started? No, never, not once in 8 years. Melissa's lawyer ran a hand down his face. He knew. They had lost. The judge turned to Melissa's lawyer. Do you have any response to this? Her lawyer sighed. Your Honor, my client would like to withdraw her financial claims. Melissa's head snapped toward him. What? No, we had a plan. Her own lawyer ignored her. Very well. The court finds that Mrs. Nat Wilson's claims lack credibility. The prenuptial agreement will be enforced. Mrs. Wilson will receive no alimony, no claim to the business, and no claim to the marital home. Bang. The gavel came down. Melissa? She had just lost everything. Melissa sat frozen. Her entire plan had just crumbled in real time. She'd walked into that courtroom expecting to walk away rich. Instead, she left with nothing. No alimony, no house, no business. And the worst part? She did it to herself. Melissa was still sitting there, gripping the edge of the table, like she was trying to hold on to reality. Then, her lawyer turned to her and said, flatly, Melissa, I'll email you my final invoice. I suggest you pay it promptly. Melissa's head snapped toward him. Wait, what? Lawyer, standing up, collecting his papers. Our contract is fulfilled. There's nothing more I can do for you. He didn't even look at her. He just walked away. Because Melissa had just tanked his reputation in court. No lawyer wants to be known for losing a case that badly. I walked out of the courtroom feeling lighter than I had in months. But Melissa, she had nowhere to go. She had lost the house. Her finances were exposed. Her backup plan had fallen apart. And then, her parents found out. Melissa's mom and dad were waiting outside. She ran up to them, eyes wide, still trying to spin the situation. Mom, Dad, you have to listen to me. Did you lie under oath? She froze. I mean technically. Her mom. Oh my God, Melissa, you tried to ruin his life. Her dad shook his head, looking at her like he didn't even recognize her anymore. You embarrassed us. You embarrassed yourself. Then, her mom pulled out a house key and pressed it into Melissa's hand. This is the key to your old room. Don't bother using it. You are not welcome back. Melissa's entire face fell. She had just lost her last safety net. She had one last move left, and I knew it was coming. That night, my phone buzzed. Melissa, calling me. I let it go to voicemail. A few minutes later, a text popped up. Jason, I messed up. I know that now. Can we please just talk? I didn't respond. Then another one. I don't know what to do. Please, just talk to me. Then another. I still love you. That's when I laughed. She didn't love me. She just didn't want to face the consequences of what she did. The next day, I saw her in the parking lot outside our old house. She looked wrecked. No fancy clothes, no smug expression. Just a woman who had gambled everything and lost. She ran up to me. Jason, please. I don't have anywhere to go. I made a mistake. I looked at her for a long moment. Then, I said the last words I would ever say to her. Melissa, I don't think about you at all. And then, I walked away.